Imagine this. You're struggling with a chronic illness. Or perhaps you're simply looking for a cure to something that's been nagging at you for years. You walk into a doctor's office, and they hand you a prescription for the latest medication from one of the biggest pharmaceutical giants in the world. You trust them. After all, they've built a reputation on saving lives, haven't they? But here's the catch. What if that medication isn't as safe as they claim? What if it's being marketed in ways that put profit over your health? And what if the pharmaceutical companies, like Pfizer, are willing to sacrifice your well-being to line their pockets with more cash? The shocking truth is, this isn't just an isolated scenario. It's the reality for millions of people around the world. The dark underbelly of Big Pharma, especially companies like Pfizer, reveals how the industry's obsession with profits often trumps the lives it's supposed to protect. This isn't just about bad practices. It's about an entire system that is built to favor the few at the cost of the many. Let's dive into the hidden world of Big Pharma and uncover how one of the largest pharmaceutical giants has repeatedly put profit over people, and why it matters to all of us. The rise of Pfizer. From hero to villain? When you think of Pfizer, what comes to mind? The company that developed the COVID-19 vaccine? The creator of life-saving treatments? On the surface, Pfizer appears to be a symbol of progress in healthcare. A company that has given us groundbreaking medications for everything from heart disease to cancer. But behind that shiny reputation lies a troubling history. Pfizer's rise to power wasn't just fueled by scientific innovation. It was also propelled by a relentless pursuit of profit, sometimes at the expense of ethics and patient safety. The truth is, Pfizer has had its fair share of scandals, controversies, and lawsuits that have raised serious questions about its practices. For decades, the company has been accused of pushing dangerous drugs, covering up side effects, and manipulating data, all in the name of money. But how did we get here? How did a company that was once seen as a hero of public health become embroiled in scandal after scandal? The Bextra scandal, a painkiller that came at a deadly cost. Let's rewind to 2005. Pfizer had just launched Bextra, a painkiller meant to treat arthritis and menstrual pain. The drug was a major player in the market, and sales were soaring. But behind the glossy advertisements and promises of relief, something darker was brewing. It didn't take long for doctors to notice serious side effects associated with Bextra. Patients were suffering from heart attacks, strokes, and even death. Yet Pfizer continued to push the drug, knowing full well the risks it posed. In fact, Pfizer was found guilty of aggressively marketing Bextra and other drugs despite knowing they were dangerous. In 2009, the company was slapped with a $2.3 billion settlement for illegally promoting drugs and bribing doctors to prescribe them. This wasn't just a one-off mistake, it was a pattern of behavior that put profit before patient safety. And this wasn't the only instance. Pfizer's history is filled with similar stories of cover-ups, unethical marketing, and questionable practices that prioritized sales over people's lives. The opioid crisis. How Big Pharma got away with murder. One of the darkest chapters in the history of Big Pharma is its role in the opioid crisis. While Pfizer didn't have the direct involvement of companies like Purdue Pharma, its business model is indicative of a larger problem: the pharmaceutical industry's willingness to push addictive drugs for profit. For decades, drug companies, including Pfizer, downplayed the dangers of opioids like OxyContin, encouraging doctors to prescribe them for chronic pain. They marketed these drugs as safe, non-addictive solutions for pain management, despite knowing they were highly addictive. This marketing was a key factor in sparking the opioid epidemic, which has caused hundreds of thousands of overdose deaths in the United States alone. Yet, even as the crisis deepened, Pfizer and other pharmaceutical giants continued to rake in profits, putting billions of dollars in their pockets while countless lives were destroyed. Even today, the opioid crisis continues to wreak havoc across the globe, and many experts believe that the pharmaceutical companies' role in this disaster hasn't been fully reckoned with. The question is, how much is enough before these companies are held accountable? The COVID-19 vaccine, a lifeline or a profit scheme? Fast forward to 2020. The world is in the middle of a pandemic, and the race to develop a vaccine is on. Pfizer, with its years of experience in pharmaceuticals, is one of the first companies to announce an effective COVID-19 vaccine. Initially, the vaccine is hailed as a miracle, something that could end the global health crisis and bring the world back to normal. Pfizer's partnership with BioNTech to develop the mRNA vaccine is praised as groundbreaking. But just like with Bextra and opioids, questions soon begin to surface about the company's pricing and distribution strategies. In the midst of a global emergency, Pfizer is accused of prioritizing wealthy nations over poorer ones. Countries like the US and Europe struck exclusive deals with Pfizer to secure vaccine supplies, while many low-income nations were left behind. The company also set a high price tag on the vaccine, making it difficult for some countries to afford it. While Pfizer justified this by saying the profits would help fund future research, many critics argue that the company was more concerned with padding its bottom line than making the vaccine accessible to all. Some estimates suggest that Pfizer made billions in profits from the vaccine, and yet, large portions of the world still struggle to get vaccinated. This isn't just about a vaccine. It's about a pattern of behavior that reflects the priorities of Big Pharma. Profits first, people second. The system that protects Big Pharma. How has Pfizer and other pharmaceutical companies managed to get away with these practices for so long? The answer lies in a system that enables their actions and shields them from accountability. Lobbying, a political power play. Pharmaceutical companies are some of the biggest spenders when it comes to lobbying. They pump millions of dollars into political campaigns, hoping to influence lawmakers who can affect drug pricing, regulations, and patent laws. This allows them to push through favorable policies that protect their profits, often at the expense of public health. It's a cozy relationship between Big Pharma and politicians, one that ensures the status quo remains intact. But while lobbyists work to safeguard the interests of pharmaceutical giants, the rest of us pay the price with inflated drug costs, limited access to life-saving treatments, and unsafe medications. The patent system, a way to stifle competition. The patent system, designed to encourage innovation, often becomes a tool of control for pharmaceutical companies. By patenting minor tweaks to existing medications or production methods, companies like Pfizer can prevent generic versions from hitting the market, keeping drug prices high for years. This means patients have to pay premium prices for medications, even when cheaper alternatives exist. It's a clever strategy to maintain dominance over the market, but it's also a system that keeps millions of people from getting the treatment they need. Aggressive marketing, shaping public perception. Pharmaceutical companies don't just sell drugs, they sell an image. Through aggressive marketing campaigns, they shape the way we think about our health and our bodies. From TV ads to social media influencers, Big Pharma has created a culture where people are encouraged to treat every ailment with a prescription, even if it's not necessary. These marketing tactics often downplay the risks and side effects of medications, making people more likely to trust what they're being told, even if it's not in their best interest. The cost of ignoring the truth. The consequences of Big Pharma's actions are far-reaching. Patients are left with unsafe medications, skyrocketing drug costs, and a healthcare system that often favors the wealthy over the sick. People are dying because they can't afford the medications they need, or because they've been given drugs that are more dangerous than they were led to believe. As we look to the future, it's clear that something has to change. We need to demand more from companies like Pfizer, not just in terms of transparency and accountability, but in their commitment to putting people's health before profits. Conclusion: time for accountability. The story of Pfizer and Big Pharma is far from over, and the question remains, will we allow these companies to continue profiting off of our pain? Or will we demand a healthcare system that prioritizes people over profits? The choice is ours, but one thing is for sure, the time for change is now. It's time for us to take control of our health, not the pharmaceutical giants. It's time to break free from the dark web of Big Pharma and demand a system that truly works for us all.